Golden goal coming back at you on a Friday. Feels like it has been forever. Champions League starting to mix up the schedule a little bit. We'll tell you our plans for next week as well. But before we get to that, we have plenty of soccer to cover for this weekend. No one I'd rather do it with than Mr. Martino Puccio of The Athletic Betting, State of the Play Pod co-host. Martino, it feels like it has been forever. Hope everything's been okay.
Yeah, not too bad. Milan's finally turning things around. Spring training's here. Plenty of good things going on. So finally, after a horrendous end of January to mid-February, things are turning around. So yeah, big weekend, and then we're gonna really just turn it around to the Champions League on the middle of next week.
Yeah, it feels like, where this is that part of the schedule where it's like, all right, no more NFL. That's obviously the juggernaut. But you're coming down to the wire in the NBA. NHL is really ramping up as well. March Madness, obviously, right around the corner. And then baseball will start. But we'll never complain because we'll get to a point in like July where, we have nothing else to watch but baseball. But we'll deal with that when we get to that point. Just taking a look at what we did on our last episode. Again, that was for the Champions League. We hit something in every game, but not at a high volume. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time because it's been a while. Mm-hmm. Liverpool, Madrid. I mean, that was just hectic. I think you're under 3.5 lost in the first 25 minutes.
And you know this, so pissed off. The one game I bet the under on, because every other game in the Champions League out of 8 matches was under. You would think Liverpool at home at Anfield would be under 3.5. I didn't even ask for 2.5. I didn't even ask for 2.5. I said under 3.5. 7 goals. All-time bad performance. I couldn't believe it. But like we said, you asked me if I were to have to choose a goal scorer, it would be Vinny. And I mean, it's a huge number at 330. But I mean, Liverpool's an absolute disaster. They're pathetic, and they're already confirmed today that Firmino's gone at this point at the end of the season. So, it was one of those transition years, and now it's really kind of it's a transition year, but more so really, like who's going to be returning at this point, because I think a lot's up in the air now.
Yeah, it has really turned into an out with the old, in with the new, and the old was good, the new is less than good. I just one note on that game before we move on to this weekend's action. I had second half most goals, and I think it was 5 goals in the first half, and I was like, I think it was 3-2 at half or whatever it was. I think there were 4 goals in the first half. Yeah, it was 4 goals in the first half, and I was like, okay, like no shot. This bet's dead in the water. That was my main leg on most of my parlays. And then we saw 3 goals in the second half, and I was like, I cannot believe that there is even a chance for this bet to hit. But alas, we did hit something in every game, so we came away winners at the end of the day. We have 3 games for you covering this weekend, 2 in the Prem, 1 in the MLS. First time we're covering them on the show with their season getting back underway. Let's start in the Prem. This is Saturday action. We have a couple of really good games to get to. We have one really good team and one really bad team. Arsenal at the top of the table. Bournemouth is probably going to be relegated. Obviously, we are not going to be betting on the Arsenal money line straight up. But Martino, tell me kind of how you're looking at this game with such different teams.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bournemouth is just lowly. This isn't the type of game that they're supposed to win or even get a result. You're going away to the Emirates. A really huge bounce back win for Arsenal, toppling Everton this time, finally. And it was a convincing win. And there's just a lot of positive morale on Arsenal at this point, because we kind of talk about Liverpool and Chelsea, it's really teams you don't want to bet on. Arsenal at this point, you kind of look for things on a first-time champion. What are they able to do? What are the types of games that you usually see them drop? Because you could say in the past, Arsenal would have probably dropped points against Everton twice. Knowing the way their history is. But they come out and they punch him in the mouth. It's a 4-0 win. It was convincing. I think you see more of the same here. I'm not too convinced on the total with this. Again, they're still in Europa League. That's very much wide open. If they're in control of this one, say 2-3-0 at one point, I think they're going to coast and they could make the proper substitutions. Gabriel Jesus is still slated to come back relatively soon. By the way, Jesus coming back around Easter time. a bet we're going to be cooking up soon. Just to let you know, that's just a
Wait,
foreshadow for a couple.
hold on. You're talking about hey, Jesus coming back around Easter time, and you did not make a Jesus rising joke. Like I'm
Well,
kind of
that's well, that's
disappointed in you.
that's what I was alluding to. That's going to be made
Okay.
in a couple of shows. That's just a couple of shows, but who knows when he comes back? But it should be relatively soon. But anyways, again, they're just playing so well. I don't see how Bournemouth is going to score too much. You could even go to the both teams to score no on this one as well. That's always the very popular one. But yeah, I mean, this is just right now. Arsenal are approaching everything as 13 cup finals,
Mhm.
and they're going to be that way. And sometimes you're going to see games kind of tight if you haven't bet this late into a season on a team that really just has not that big of a lead over Manchester City, where it's 5 points for now. You see
Mhm.
Bukayo Saka in these interviews on NBC Sports after the match talking about like it's great that they're winning these games 4-0. But where's their mental at? And their mental
Mhm.
is one game at a time. And that's exactly what I want to hear and see. And they're approaching it that way, because how many times do we hear people over here in America that try to emulate what Joe Namath says? Like, I guarantee you we're going to win the
Mhm.
game or something like that. It's always hot air, but you need to see it. And I'm seeing it from them. And that's why I like Arsenal money line and under 3.5, just because I think they're going to look towards other competitions. And that's at minus 107, which is a pretty solid number.
Yeah, it's more of the Kobe job ain't finished than it is
Nice.
guaranteed win. The youth has really injected some new life and some much needed life into Arsenal. I am on the same page. I think that Arsenal wins this easily, though Bournemouth did give City a little bit of a scare recently. So the goal scoring has the potential, but also they have let up goals like it is quite literally their job. So some things I'm looking at here. If you want to take Arsenal to win to nil, you can take it at minus 120. If you combine that with under 3.5, that's probably my best parlay. That's not a little crazy at plus 188 is the best number you can get it at. Both teams to score no at under 2.5. Best number you can get that is at plus 175. If you think this is like a 2-0 win. If you think that's possible, you can also go in the direction of Arsenal to win by 2, which is at plus 300. Obviously, you take that by yourself because that could be 3-1. You talk about a late goal where Arsenal is cruising, and Bournemouth just grabs them at like the 87th minute.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. Again, all these are kind of risky. If I was going to go in one of those directions, and I wanted to give a little bit of a bigger number. Again, the bet that you gave is a much wiser bet and a much safer one. If from those I'd probably go the win to nil and under 3.5 at plus 188. Agree? Disagree?
I mean, it all kind of falls under the same vacuum because if you're
Mm-hmm.
saying 2-0, that really falls in line with what I was saying too, and
Yeah.
it's still plus money. Again, it's just how much faith and conviction do
Mm-hmm.
you have in these bets, and again, it's just they've led up the most goals in Bournemouth. They've led up 48,
Mm-hmm.
and the next closest is at 42, kind of close, but 6 goals is a lot. We know, like on a number scale, it might not seem like a lot, but it is. Um, and again, it's just that type of thing. Again, look at multiple scores. There's Asian handicaps to look at as well. Like there's plenty of value in here. And I think it was funny because I saw someone on Twitter, funnily enough, say you shouldn't be betting on games prior to the match. And I found that pretty hilarious because it's all relative.
Interesting.
Because there's a reason Vegas has golden towers and makes
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of millions of dollars. There's no surefire method to this. Is there a better way to live bet at times? Sure. Is there also value prior to the match? Absolutely. Just like what we did last week. I mean, Napoli money line is another example. Again, it's all about how you feel about this and lineups. Really, what it is. And to me, you could go with a Martinelli, a Bukayo Saka. Again,
Mm-hmm.
anytime goal or assist for Saka, I think at this point is just money. I think he's on his way to win Player of the Year. And again, this is what we said too. Another pretty tough week where Manchester City's playing Newcastle and Arsenal's playing a relegation side. City have a tougher opponent on top of having the Champions League fixture coming up soon. That is very difficult. And my point is this: futures. Again,
Mm-hmm.
another good time to take Arsenal. Please listen. It's a good time for this. And then again, if you disagree and you like City, then you also take City now. But again, we're really coming down to this home stretch here of where you're going to find it hard to get the value that you want.
Yeah, well, the win the Prem odds basically flip flop week in and week out for Arsenal and City, depending on who blows the game that week. But like you mentioned, a couple weeks away from Jesus rising, both on the field and off of it. So now's the time to lock that in. Let's go stateside here. Let's go with some MLS action. Atlanta United, Toronto FC season just started up last week. Two teams coming off very similar results, but for different reasons. Atlanta coming back with two very late goals to take a win, and Toronto giving up a couple of late goals to lose. Again, very similar results, very different reasons, different sides of the coin. Toronto did not look good in their first match. Atlanta is favored in this one. Which way you leaning?
Yeah, so I love Atlanta at home here. I think if you ever had a hard time getting into MLS, again, they're on Apple TV now. So if you're trying to get into MLS, the broadcasts are great. Atlanta, surprisingly, like you wouldn't associate the main football of our football here in America with incredible fans. They fill up the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It's nothing.
Atlanta's
You
huge.
get 80,000 fans in there. They're screaming. It's one of the tougher environments. We know Josef Martinez, who's one of the best MLS players of all time, isn't with them anymore. So you might shy away. But minus 150 at home to a team that you mentioned in Toronto FC that I think is very top heavy with talent, isn't a great team from top to bottom, especially across in their 11. For me, this is where I like stretching it to, okay, totals are something to look at here. I don't like Toronto in it. If I do, it's a draw. It's honestly the only thing I could see happening here. And then again, goal scorers, Federico Bernardeschi, and this is why kind of part of why I did this, because they're Italian players that I've seen for a while. Bernardeschi, in my opinion, is probably a top 3 player in this league. Not probably, is a top 3 player in this league. He's coming over from Juve, still in his late 20s. He is able to make an impact here. The only thing is, what can his teammates do around him? And it's not much. So at the same time, and anytime goal scorers at plus 230. For someone who is this good and this elite of a player in this league, I'm going to take that. I don't care where the game is. This guy's played in much tougher environments. He's played in a Euro final and won it and hit a penalty in it. No disrespect to anyone in Atlanta. There's levels to this, okay? So he's not going to be intimidated going down south, and that's why I like leaning towards him, because just value with a player like that is it's paramount.
Yeah, Insigne is still questionable as of time of recording with an injury he picked up. It looks like he's probably going to get to play. He's been practicing, but no official decision yet. I've been going back and forth all morning whether I like the over 2.5 or under 3.5 here, because I really, these are two teams that gave up a lot of goals last game. Like, they both had over 3 goals. So I could see it happening, or at least 3 goals. So you see that over 2.5 happening, but it's just, again, the Toronto defense is weak. But it's still so early in the season, so you don't exactly know. These numbers are going to fluctuate a lot, and you don't have too much to base it off of, especially because these are two teams that spent a lot of money. Like, these went through the biggest changes of basically any MLS side in the offseason. So I'm going to take it a little simpler. If you just want to take both teams to score, you can get that minus 175. And again, always use our grid, because if you want to take that anytime goal scorer that Martino was talking about, best number you can get that at is at plus 290, even though most markets are at plus 230. If you want a little bit more juice, I still think Atlanta comes away with the victory here. You go Atlanta money line, you tack on both teams to score, you can get it at plus 155. But again, so early in the season, there's just a lot of things up in the air. So there's still a lot that we don't know. Speaking of teams that we do know a lot of, let's go over to the Prem. Third game we're going to cover on the show. This is Sunday, 11:30 Eastern Time. Man United and Liverpool. Again, Liverpool, disgusting effort the last time we talked about them on the show. But in the Prem, they have been good. United has been one of the best teams in the entire league all season. Despite how bad Liverpool has looked in our heads, actually 4 straight clean sheets. One of them, they didn't score either, which is kind of a problem too against Crystal. But just tell me which way you're leaning here, because these are kind of some things go out the window when you have such big size. These are always super entertaining matches.
Yeah, these are the two biggest teams in England. For anyone who's kind of new to this, it's
Mm,
Liverpool, Man United. This is Yankees, Red Sox. This is Lakers, Celtics. This is, I guess Ravens, Steelers to an extent, but not really. If you just did 21st century, but the point is this: the level of intensity coming into this match, you lose embarrassingly, as you mentioned, to Real Madrid at Anfield. We know the record there.
mhm,
But like we were saying, there's just a lot up in the air right now with Liverpool. I don't like betting them. This is really me leaning towards Manchester United. United are slowly building that culture. They eliminated Barca, which was incredibly impressive in my opinion.
yeah.
Barca's record in Europe's been garbage, but let's call a spade here. It was embarrassing the display that they had considering their defense in La Liga. It's
Mhm,
been night and day. For me, I do like something where you get low totals. I'm not really going to take anything with that. I do like a United to win to nil. You could usually get those at plus money. I think I just like United straight up. Both teams to score is still a possibility. Listen, Liverpool have a
mhm,
ton of threats. They're just too risky because you see performances where I was saying this last week. Cody Gakpo and Darwin Nunes are
mhm.
good talents. They put themselves into positions to finish, but this is a tougher defensive side now. How much are they really going to be able to put past them? And I'm not saying Man U is invincible defensively. You still have a goalkeeper that's capable of lapses. Lisandro Martinez isn't the best in terms of aerial duels, but if I'm sitting here taking a team that's in form and hot and really has legitimate momentum, they just won their first trophy since the Europa League with Jose Mourinho. By the way, in Manchester United, that's how long it's been. Okay, the momentum is so sky high with United right now. It's like, why would you bet against that? And
Yeah.
regardless of Anfield, listen, I'll say something controversial. Most
Hit
overrated
me.
atmosphere in sports. It's
Really?
you're loud prior to the game. Look elsewhere across that continent. Everyone's loud from minute 1 to minute 90. I don't
Mm,
want to hear this clapping nonsense every now and then throughout the match. If you're going to be loud, do it the entire time. Don't do it before, which you'll never walk alone propaganda that everybody props up in this country because everybody likes to do it. We see it in Dortmund. You know it all the time because
mm.
you're familiar with Argentina. You're a huge Messi fan. You've seen it in La Liga. Anfield's overrated with the atmosphere. You could clip that one. That's not much of a bet, um, but again, for me, it's United here. Yeah, Liverpool way too volatile, but both teams to
Yeah.
score is something that involves Liverpool that I would like. I'll say that.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't. Again, I just there's too much up in the air to bet any sort of combination. Um,
I agree.
if you're this is like a this is a it's a dream double chance of United or draw, because Liverpool's favored in this game, so you get a little more value on the team that has been better. Um, Liverpool are undefeated last six, at home, I believe, in the Prem. Like they have been trending up. They have had good form within the league. But again, this is still the same team. This is still a volatile team. Like I don't trust either over or under on any of the goal sides. Like it's just there is so many possibilities, that you can see clearly happening for either way to go. So if I'm going to go with anything here, I'm going United money line, and I'm going to duck before you start getting things thrown at you, from the Liverpool faithful. I will say I did go to I believe I went to a Liverpool Everton game. I think it was back in like
Yeah,
2016,
Derby
at
game. Yeah.
Goodison, and yeah, I mean, if you want to, I know it's not overrated because no one's writing home about Everton fans, at home, but that was, you want to talk about just a deflating fan presence. That's when you
I
want to take
mean, listen, we're Mets fans. You're in the same area and you look up and one
it. Yeah.
team's got more success and they look down on you and you're rolling out teams at the time that are just not even on the same level. But again, even to the point, just if some people are looking at the Liverpool undefeated stretch, we could just even
Mhm.
talk about a couple of the teams, if you don't mind, that we were facing at
Yeah.
home. Chelsea, 0-0 draw. Everton, like we said, 2-0 win. Even then, that's in a derby. Again, Wolves. Like these aren't teams that are that impressive. They lose on the road to Brighton. Newcastle was a great win on the road for them, but it's just they're not that strong and dominant as they used to be at Anfield, and that's the difference. And I think even myself, I got caught up in it. You got put past you against Real Madrid, a team that really struggled hard. A team that struggled really. If you want to try and do, like the loose connect the dots that people do in college basketball was, we took down the number one team in the country, although we're not even in the top 25. So we're technically the number one team in the country.
That's how sports work, right?
Yeah, that's how some people like to look at it. My thought process is here. Okay. Liverpool allowed 5 goals against Real Madrid. Real Madrid just played in the Copa del Rey against Barcelona, who played Manchester United. They couldn't score on them. Manchester United had a pretty easy time scoring on Barcelona. And if Real Madrid, a team who put 5 past Liverpool, couldn't put it past Barca, but Man United dominate them, so what's going to happen? So I really think there's that type of level that's going to be there. And again, maybe Marcus Rashford, he's just too hot. At this point, to me, I'm just kind of like betting for him not to score because there's no way he keeps doing this. But all-time contract year, Adrian Beltre would be proud.
Last question, real quick. Rashford, plus 165 is the best number you can get it at. He's trying to become just the 4th Man U player ever to score in 6 straight Prem matches. Yes or no? You taking it?
I would just be a hypocrite. I would just contradict myself from 20 seconds ago. So no, I'm not going to take it. But listen, if anything's indicative of what I've been doing lately, I guess you should take it at 675, like you said. But again, of all the great players in their history, only he would be the 4th to do that. 6 straight matches would be incredible. And couldn't happen to a better guy too. So I hope it happens for him. Sorry if it does, Marcus, for what I said 20 seconds ago, but
all-time contract year indeed. Martino, appreciate it as always. If you want more Champions League coverage for next week, we're going to be coming at you on Monday night for our usual Champions League schedule. So again, whether it's Monday or Friday, make sure you're watching every episode. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe as well. And make sure you're also following us on Instagram because we are giving away money. We are giving away jerseys. We are giving away PS5s this month. There's a lot of things going out. You don't want to miss it. The only thing you need to do is subscribe to be able to win some of those prizes. Martino, I will catch you next week, and let's hope we're in the green this weekend.